Hello everyone, this is Ms. Smith, and the purpose of this video is to do our assignment overview for the literacy narrative essay. And so I will put this document in Word format in your D2L, but I kind of wanted just to talk through it with you just a little bit. Okay, and so what you're doing is you're writing a literacy narrative about a defining moment in your life thus far that has shaped who you are as a reader or writer. Essentially, your writing identity. Okay, you are writing a 3 to 5 page essay, and it must meet the guidelines below. You want to double space the entire essay. You need 1-inch margins, black font color, and 11 or 12 point type. Now when you open a typical Microsoft Word document, your margins are usually at 1 inch, so there's usually nothing that you have to do, okay, in terms of the margins. But you want to make sure that you double space your entire essay as is consistent with MLA format. And so depending on what version of Word you're using, you can do that here under the Home tab. If you go to the spacing here and you just want to go to 2.0, that would double space your entire essay. Okay? Alright. And so you want to use an appropriate font like Calibri, Times New Roman, or Arial, something like that. That's commonly used. You don't want to use anything that looks playful or any kind of scripted font that looks too elaborate. You want something standard. Okay, a Calibri, a Times New Roman, and Arial, something along those lines will meet the need for that. Okay. You want to include a heading at the top left side of the page that contains, on 4 separate lines, your name, your class, the name and version of the assignment you're submitting, and the date. Okay, and so you want to make sure you include all of that. You want to include a typed title in bold style. You want to maintain good use of grammar and sentence structure. Demonstrate understanding of the literacy narrative genre and the rhetorical situation. And you want to tell a complete and an interesting story. Okay? And the assignment must be submitted in Microsoft Word format. And so if you refer to pages 83 through 93 specifically in the textbook, it will give you information about key features of literacy narratives and a guide to writing literacy narratives. Now if for some reason you're using the third version or the third edition of the textbook, those page numbers won't be correct. So just look in the back of your book to find the appropriate page numbers that discuss literacy narrative. So keep in mind the following things as well. You want to follow the writing process, okay? And you want to produce an outline at the end of the pre-writing stage of the writing process. You should have a formal outline as defined in the book. The book talks about a formal outline in the pages that discuss the literacy narrative. And it should include a thesis statement or a main point of your essay at the top of the outline. I'll show you an example in just a moment. You want to submit your formal outline before deadline and refer to your syllabus for the date. You want to submit a rough draft by deadline. Immediately after you submit your rough draft to me on D2L, okay, submit your rough draft to BrainFuse for feedback from an online tutor. Now remember, I'm not going to give you extensive feedback on your rough drafts. That's what your online tutor is going to do through BrainFuse. I am going to actually read and review very closely your rough drafts, and I will talk with you about your rough drafts, and I want to talk with you about your BrainFuse feedback. So you do not want to ignore that step. You want to make sure that you submit your rough draft to me for assignment credit, and you want to make sure that you immediately then submit your rough draft to BrainFuse and check back with BrainFuse to get the feedback that your online tutor has given you. Okay, we will have a discussion week after you submit your rough draft, and I will expect to hear from you and to hear about the feedback that you've received from BrainFuse, and for us to discuss even the feedback, the verbal feedback that I want to give you about your rough draft as well. Okay? You want to submit your final draft, of course, and make sure that you've met all assignment requirements. And additional grammar resources are available under Content, shared files, and then a folder called Grammar Resources on D2L. So just look for those, and it'll contain some videos and some helpful information about helping you improve different aspects of grammar, okay, if that's something that you need. And if you need additional support at any time, contact me. You can call me by phone, you can email me, you can stop by my office during office hours, or you can stop by the English Tutoring Lab if you're ever on campus. That's in room R119. And there is a schedule on our homepage in D2L for the fall semester English Tutoring Lab hours. You do not have to stop by only when I'm there. You can stop by whenever the lab is open and get support from an English instructor. But I would love to meet you. So if you can come while I'm there, that would be amazing as well. Okay? And if you need to make an appointment to meet with me one-on-one to discuss your essay, whether we're meeting via phone or whether we're meeting in person, that would be fine too. Okay? And let me just say one other thing about the literacy narrative. Hopefully you've done the reading for this and you understand what this genre requires. But keep in mind, you are writing about your writing or your reading identity. You're writing about a defining moment in your life that has shaped who you are as a reader or writer. Okay, keep in mind that this doesn't necessarily have to be a happy story, right? Maybe you had a negative experience and that's kind of shaped who you are. And so you want to make sure that you're being honest, that you're thinking through what one of those defining moments could be, and that you're being honest about that, and that you're writing about that experience. You need to make sure that you have a well-told story, and your story should have some point of conflict in it. Okay, and so there needs to be some you know, evidence of that defining moment and how it shaped you. Okay, that's the key thing about a defining moment. It has to kind of be a catalyst to shape you or change you or cause you to think about or see things differently and affect you in some way. And so you want that point of conflict in your essay. And you also want to make sure that you have a strong thesis statement, a main point. And in this case, with this type of genre, almost something like a lesson learned. Okay? It's usually good to have some type of a lesson learned. So as a result of your defining moment, how did it affect you? What did you learn? How is it still affecting you today? How is it still impacting you today? And so that usually makes for a really good literacy narrative. If there's some main point where you have gleaned some type of a lesson as a result of what happened. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Now, again, if you have any questions about what is required with writing a literacy narrative after you've done the reading in the book, after you've listened to this video, please let me know. I'm happy to help however I can. And I will look forward to meeting with you during our discussion week. Just check the syllabus for that and talking with you about the feedback you've received from BrainFuse on your rough draft and helping you figure out ways to make your essay better and stronger as you prepare for that final draft. Okay? If you have questions, let me know.